when Qatar needed Turkey's help, and it needed it immediately, Turkey deployed immediately. It was there very, very quickly. So I think that if Somalia needs Turkey's help and it needs immediate help, I can see Turkey deploying to that region and beginning to safeguard territorial waters very quickly. It was able to do this in Libya as well. Now, from the perspective of how it would handle any type of an Ethiopian incursion into Somalian territorial waters, I think the best example is what's happening in northern Syria over the past 6 or 7 years. Now, when you look at northern Syria, there's the Russians, there's the Americans, there's the Iranians, there's the Turks. They're all there. But if you've noticed, they've all filled their voids, and neither of these actors militarily or kinetically engage each other. Yes, some Iranian non-state actors have engaged American assets in that region, but generally, the militaries of Russia, America, and Turkey do not engage each other. They filled their voids, and their sovereign flags are a deterrence for one another. So I think Turkey filling that void of that maritime territory itself is a deterrent. The best defense is deterrence, because you never have to use offense. Your presence alone and the perception of your capabilities are always the best deterrents. And I think that the relationship between Ethiopia and Turkey, especially with the domestic situation inside Ethiopia and the support that Turkey has given the legitimate Ethiopian government throughout that process, so they understand that Turkey is a valuable ally and has come to their aid in their time of need, I don't think that's a relationship that they would want to destroy or hurt. So I think that Turkey's presence alone in filling that void is probably the most de-escalating version of deterrence that Somalia could have in that region out of any actor in the world, I think, because they won't view it as threatening. The relationship is valuable, and their presence is the deterrence. So I think that that's the way that Turkey would handle that, because at the end of the day, Turkey doesn't want to militarily engage any African actor with hard power. It's worked very hard over the past 20 years and invested a lot of time and money to build the relationship with every single actor on the continent and also with the African Union. So bringing hard power into the equation not only would deteriorate that bilateral relationship, it would deteriorate its image as well on the continent as a whole. And that's not something that Turkey is going to want to engage in. So I think that it'll use its presence as a deterrent mostly.
And the tension that has risen from that agreement. Based on your own analysis, is it possible that this defense agreement that Somalia has entered with the Republic of Turkey, do you foresee that this will force the government of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, to walk back from its memorandum of understanding agreement with the breakaway region of Somaliland?
Thanks. Well, the short answer is no, not on the face of it. First of all, it isn't clear, as Samir has been pointing out, that this agreement creates any obligation by Turkey to sort of enforce Somali sovereignty or territorial integrity, or any of those questions from the perspective of Mogadishu. I can't imagine that Turkey would sign and then swiftly implement an agreement like that, given the relationship that it has and the presence of Turkish corporates and the interest that it has in Ethiopia. I might not paint as rosy a picture as Yusuf, but I think he's right to highlight that Turkey has positive relations with all the countries in question here, and wouldn't be wanting to do anything to jeopardize that. And indeed, the evolution of its relationship, for example, with Ethiopia, moving from mainly economic, to a more economic and security relationship, isn't a sort of either or a signal of a shift in Turkish foreign policy. Really, it's an evolution of the landscape in the region. So Turkey has a security relationship with Ethiopia. This is partly because Ethiopia's security relationships with its traditional Western partners, developed over the last 20 years or more, we're having setbacks in the context of Ethiopia's internal conflict from 2020. So that was sort of capitalizing on opportunity, building on existing relationship. I can't then see Turkey saying, well, we've had a relationship with Somalia for longer, so of course we'll pick sides in this tension. I don't think that's going to happen at all. It is, though, important signaling, and it is important in the sense that it shows the way that Somalia, the Somali federal government in Mogadishu, which has control over the formal organs of Somali sovereignty, is exercising that in ways that speak to the position of the Somaliland government and the way that it's able to exercise its claims of sovereignty. And you can see those manifesting in quite different ways. So it does send important signals, but it's not something that's going to unwind the MOU that was signed that was announced at the beginning of the year. And I think it's important also to remember this isn't the first Ethiopia-Somaliland deal that's been agreed. And in a similar way to what we've been talking about with the Turkish deal, the details here are also unknown. None of this is public. All we have to go on is 30% speculation and 70% some drips and things that have been said by diplomats and other officials, but aren't finalized. So this is another thing another agreement that's a framework. It isn't a final deal yet. Both sides have been fairly clear that the final terms haven't been agreed. And I think given the scale of this negotiation, that might not come anytime soon. So we can get into that more if you want to, but I think that the first thing to say is this isn't going to change the calculus in Addis Ababa off of